Welcome, boys and girls. Costin here with Gorbad Ironclaw, the master strategist of the Greenskins. Though master strategist in the sense that a lot of people seem to think that going for convoluted plans as him is really the way to go, when really the most obvious way is genuinely the best one that you could almost always go for. For instance, you could try and ambush your way towards this particular settlement where the enemy lord will almost definitely be. Or you could just force march your way past the initial enemy army and put the AI in a bind. And also restart researching, go faster as a research option. You don't want to kill the initial army because there is a giant, and you can also gain said army under your control if you just avoid having to fight it. Just worth pointing out. Paying attention to what your enemy is also a strategy. Knowing their movement range and all that kind of stuff is a genuine strategy that more often than not works. And now we can use the ambush stance and set ourselves up for greater success later down the line, because that's the point where actually using strategy and thinking, big thinking, is in a lot of ways the way to go. Because what the AI is going to do here, they're going to recruit some units in Iron Rock. They're not going to attack anywhere. And that army right there, if they move towards me, towards Gorbad, I got them, right? But if they don't move towards me, well, I guess I didn't get them. So they're going to try and be clever about whatever in the world they're doing right there. But it doesn't matter what they're doing. They're just giving me time. As far as I'm concerned, time is my spot to do whatever in the world I want. Like, getting the AI, wasting a couple of turns here on AI shenanigans is annoying, frustrating sometimes. But it more often than not ends up working because look at the AI, it just recruited a ton of troops. It doesn't know what to do right now with those troops. And this is my army now. Because I'll just go in, smack this force right here. No problem. Take over the settlement. And confederate. It is genuinely that fucking simple, really. And now we can get to tier 2, we can get rid of the barracks, we can start preparing for the march to glory. And also do a couple of other things as well. That is the real power of right here that we have available in this campaign. Just the power of being smart, using that big brain of his to our own benefit. The plan is not something that's found in a mechanic in the game. The plan is found in how you approach this campaign. It's a pretty straightforward thing once you really understand the weeds, so to speak, of all of it. Of a campaign structure. And funnily enough, you don't even have to care about Forgrim or anything like that. I mean, it would be nice, definitely, to beat the crap out of Forgrim, but it's not really a high priority, so to speak. We can also deal with the Thief Snatchers before we make a deal with Ogres with the same territory we currently have right now under our control. And also just get a hero that gives us campaign movement range. So for instance, with this specific territory, we can just sell it, get a non-aggression pact, and wait for this structure to be constructed in order to get an additional hero. We already start with a shaman, but we would want just a Night Goblin big boss. The reason we want that, of course, has to do with Well, everything. And now we can get to tier 2, we can start recruiting more stuff and more stuff. Just some squigs. They work. They work all too well, really, if you ask me. And we can now just simply put, with all our force, march on Carricade Peaks, deal with Carricade Peaks, get that ideally as a tier 3 settlement. By luring the defenders out into attacking us on the field of battle. Just wait for your hero to be recruited before you sell some of the stuff there. There we go. And we got money. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And now we lie in wait and ambush. And we could use that big thinking of the orcs in order to make this strategy, this situation function. Bear in mind. Or he just literally sallies out and now when because I'm guessing now when you're about to take Carricade Peaks, you do want to make sure that you've got everything sorted out, all nicely settled, all nicely put together, and you're really in a strong position. Once you do go down that path of securing it, things will change drastically and very, very quickly in a campaign. Don't get a military alliance with these guys yet. Because you might want to bash their teeth in eventually. Or you might want to settle the score later on. But yeah, you want to go bigger. Get that solid growth right there. The simplest strategies always do end up working out, don't they? I mean, I could have just attacked Iron Rock directly. I could have just marched my army south and ignored Iron Rock completely and just gone for Carricade Peaks. But this way guarantees a level of success. Though, not certain. Bear in mind that. Because certainty is for people who tend to ignore the hard lessons that exist in these kind of things. So now we have the mighty hordes. If they attack out, we crush them. If they stay in, we crush them. Either way, we win. And my guess is they're going to try and sally out in this situation. Oh. Var has shown up. We don't really care too much about that. Unfortunately for them, we have bigger fish to fry than their little coddling example. The risk here is, of course, the faction leader might have just gone on a little detour against Scarsnake. There's a lot of troops here undeniably so. But this is definitely a battle we can win, and win easily, really, when you think about... Oh, but that's some Black Orcs. I really couldn't care. Like, the garrison is strong, sure, but the army defending the settlement, not as much. And just because we don't want to do any fancy nonsensical plans, we are just gonna go for... Well, we are going to wait for reinforcements to arrive. We're gonna anchor our line proper. Get the squigs back a bit. Gorbad is kind of nasty in melee as well, by the way. Just worth a mention. So wait for those reinforcements to arrive. The squigs are gonna be out of control. We could have buffed them up a bit, but not really too concerned about that specific capability anyway. As I said, just because you got strategies involved does not mean that it's worth using said strategies. But it is beautiful. Alright, here we go. Alright, slow it down a bit. Behold the squigs. If we kill their leader, the rest of the army will crumble. And there might be some casualties here, but nothing too serious, and certainly nothing too egregious. Pull these guys back. Now, the real question we have here is whether or not we will get this settlement at tier 3. One of the reasons you might want to be the one attacking Caracade Peaks as opposed to fighting a battle like this. Although, there is a chance that it can work anyway. Make sure you pursue and destroy as many of them as you can when you're dealing with this particular battle. That's important. So after the battle, we're just going to get some casualty replenishment. And Caracate Peaks lies open before us. But it is a bit important to ensure that you're not really taking stupid casualties for no reason whatsoever. So, yeah, those units don't matter, so quick save. And you have a chance of taking out the same tier. It didn't work there, okay, but we can try again. And sometimes it does end up working, though ideally, of course, we would have actually sacked and looted it and all that good stuff, good jazz. But we don't always get to choose the outcomes that we want, unfortunately. Or you could just keep trying again and again and again until you get the specific outcome you want. Next up, Carcassonne. Because I feel it's time to pay the stunties a visit, so to speak. Getting it to tier 3 is a pretty nice benefit. Getting it to tier 3 while looting and occupying it is even better. And so is declaring a war on the dwarves. And in 9 turns, we are in a position where we can really end up dominating this location. Why is this so important, though? Like, why is doing Carcassonne so vital? Because you can ally the Mr. Rodent over here, who's gonna just start throwing Dyson spheres of Skaven at his enemies. And when he does that, like when Queek shows up and takes the territory, you kind of don't care about what happens here, right? In fact, ideally, most of the time, you just want someone to secure this location in the south. And the only territory you actually do care about is, like, yes, you want Ekrund. Yes, you want Galbraz. The reason you want Galbraz is if I need to point out that having 2 free landmarks, really, well, 2.5 if you consider the Savage Orc just like specific unit room, but having 2 landmarks, the Oath Gold Mine and the Biggest Bones in the same location, how that's particularly useful, I'm not exactly certain what you want me to say. Just don't get involved in a war with Tretch. It's just better for you to just try and beat the Skirly Skaven at his own game before he takes Carcassonne from right under you. That's the flip side of that particular argument. There's different ways, different tricks, movement, etc. that you can use, but that is definitely one of the things you want to be aware of. You want to take Carcassonne and sell it to Queek. You don't want to rely on Tretch. Just a bit of advice in dealing with all of these things. Do not ever, in any campaign whatsoever, rely on Tretch being a good ally. You can rely on Queek. You cannot rely on Tretch. And don't rely on Queek too much either, as he's still Skaven. Just better.